Greetings, greetings. I hope you are well. Odessa here with another episode. Today, I wanted to talk with you all about progress not being linear. Your healing journey is not linear, and it's important to understand what your baseline standards for health are. Okay. So, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because whereas there are a lot of people who are looking to become more aware and conscious of what they're doing with their health, and more specifically, more women are looking to preserve their fertility. They want to care for their wombs differently. They're looking to relate to themselves differently, transition from one style of work, maybe a little bit to a more relaxed work as opposed to being in corporate and go, go, go. Because the issue that we're seeing is that people are not happy, right? Because of how we've been trained to live, because of how we've been trained to interact and interface with the world and what we expect and what we understand success to be, what I'm finding is that there's an excess, or what a lot of people are finding is that there's an excess of anxiety, an excess of stress, of not really knowing what to do because you're hitting these invisible walls, right? And so you may have been making the attempts at using natural medicine or doing things differently, trying new methods, new protocols, new products, new foods, new diets, right? And you may not be getting results. You may not be getting results. You may also be still, inflicted with your illness and seeing an increase in your symptoms, right? Because I find that to be also a really frustrating cycle of trying something, maybe getting a little bit of a response or nothing at all, but then all of a sudden your issues seem to be magnified. And the other piece that comes with that is if something doesn't work for you, sometimes the response is to not admit that the issue is still there, right? You weren't paying attention to the issue in the first place. You have too many things to deal with. You're not trying to get pregnant anymore. You might already have children. You're just too busy with your job. You have too many people to answer to. And so this pain point that you're feeling, the creaks in your bones, the pain in your belly, the weight gain, the tightness of your clothes, you know what I mean? The irregular menstrual cycles, the heavy, heavy periods and the pain and all of these things, you became aware of it because something decided within you that you needed to give it more attention, but because of not getting results based off of the small attempts that you made, then now you've gone back to, ignoring the issue, you know what I mean? Whereas the issue is still raging at you in your life, you can see it raging in your life, you've decided to turn a blind eye to it, right? And so part of the reason why I think that we're doing this, entre guillemets, in quotation marks, is because many people are still perpetuating corporate culture, right? This is a capitalistic environment that we're in. We live in the Northern Hemisphere here in Canada, and many people are still perpetuating corporate culture. We live a 9 to 5 job. We pay our taxes, we pay our mortgages, and we live our lives basically within a sphere or the paradigm of status quo. And so you're required to keep going. You're required to keep functioning. Don't ask too many questions. You might notice something here or there, but it isn't something that's worth addressing, right? And so because of that, we get into a cycle of self-sabotage, right? We get into a habit of self-sabotage because you haven't taken the initiative to answer the needs that you can feel need attention, that are requiring attention, but because you are conditioned to be polite. You're conditioned to not rock the boat. You're conditioned to fit in with society, and you're conditioned to keep going, right? So you are a part of that corporate culture. So, maintaining that mindset is not something that you consider, you know what I mean? You don't think about that as being the problem, because that's just what you've always done. You're just ready to do something different, right? Um, and when we get into that space, what happens is we begin to people please. You know what I mean? We're in the space of ignoring or suppressing or depressing what it is that our being, our body, our wombs, our very sensitive, hypersensitive reproductive systems need to slow down. How many times have I had conversations with women who tell me, womb carriers, who tell me that they really need to take time off. They really need to not do something during this particular time, but they inadvertently find themselves doing something because you just can't not do something, right? There's this need to be active. There's this need to be productive. And within that, there's this need to be accepted by others, because you're being good, because you're doing for, because you're maintaining, you're perpetuating. But who is it pleasing? Who is it pleasing if you're not well? If you know that something is off, if you know that this is not the environment for you, right? You're perpetuating patriarchy. You know what I mean? Which is very much a huge reason as to how women are in the compromising health conditions that we're in today, because of how we view ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and how society deems us, right? I'm always going to come back to these themes and these conversations because we have to understand the context that we're living in. We're living in a toxic environment. Many doctors will tell you this now. Many scientists will tell you this. Many researchers will tell you this. And when we put it all together, when looking at mind, body, soul, and womb healing, it is so important that you recognize the context that you're living with under, the construct that you're living with under. There's so many things. There's patriarchy, there's racism, there's ableism, there's ageism, there's sexism. You know what I mean? So understanding that root cause, right? And seeing how you're perpetuating or how you're uh, interacting or interfacing with the issue is part of how we get to understand what the root cause is, right? And so what happens is you're not answering your needs. You're going and you're going and you're going, and you don't think that you need to stop, right? Or you might need to stop, but you don't think you have permission to stop, right? Which means that now you're moody. You're moody because you don't have time for yourself. You're irritated. You're moody because you have all of these, live lines instead of deadlines, right? But you have all of these, goals that you have to reach, these outcomes you have to reach, these deadlines for work, for family that you have to reach. And so now you're moody and you're not feeling well, but you don't really understand why you're not feeling well. So you might be going to see your doctor or purchasing for yourself over the counter medication. And so now you're moody and medicated, right? And then what this means now is that you've activated a whole new cycle that's going to create even more stuckness, right? Because then you've got the moodiness and the medication that's covering the unhealthy patterns and the chronic issues that you have not dealt with. Then you've got the secondary results from that, which can be weight gain because of the suppression, which can lead to no sleep because of the suppression of the issues, right? The irritability. It can lead to even more difficult menstrual cycles. If you're dealing with infertility, well, this is 100% exacerbating the issue by not paying attention to what it is that you need, right? So, and what that does to yourself, right, is that you're now feeling underappreciated because you're perpetuating this culture that requires you to achieve so much in a masculine way, but you're approaching as a feminine being. So you're putting yourself in a masculine context so that you can achieve these outcomes and be considered successful. And then you're returning back into your home, and you might be applying these same masculine traits, to your home environment, with your family, with your spouse, you know what I mean, with your friends, and even with yourself. And now you're questioning why you feel the way you feel, or why you're getting the results that you're getting, right? You're going and going, because these are the things that have to be done, the chores, the, events, the activities, the this and the that, and the family this and the community, but you're still not taking time for yourself. So there's complete erasure that's happening. And then you're now overwhelmed, which brings us back to moody and then medication, right? Because then you're having the same conversation with your doctor. You're moody, you're not feeling well, and you're medicated. And so you're going to go out and try the same things again, right? And it just perpetuates that same thing. And so a better way to approach this, and this is one way that I love to tell my clients, especially when you walk through my container a few times, is that you need to start taking note of your baseline standard of health. Your baseline standard of health. We all have an idea of what it takes for us to feel good. And we all have an idea of what it takes for us to feel bad. We need to really start being clear and identify what these markers are. And be honest with yourself, right? And so how I do this is basically, looking at the physical laws of the universe. There's 6 physical laws, but I only give out 4 to start with. And this is looking at movement, rest, sanitation, and nutrition. How much of these are you getting in your life, right? And very, very specific. Like, are you actively engaging in it? Are you engaging enough in it? You know what I mean? Do you need to give yourself more? Do you need to give yourself less? Do you need to delegate? Do you need to, you know what I mean? Make these appointments. We need to start viewing ourselves from the multidimensional perspective that we are in. And this is one way of doing that, right? So looking at these 4 physical laws of health. The other thing to look at is, what don't you like? What is a process of elimination that you sometimes go through to see what is bothering you and what is working and what is not? You know what I mean? Refine this process. Your friends, your family, your food, your feelings, you know what I mean? It just so happens that they're all F words. But you understand, like, let's just gather up intel for where you are right now and create that understanding. Like, this is what I've been doing. And when I don't eat this amount, then I feel the difference. When I'm not drinking this amount, then I feel the difference. Pay attention to where you are so that you can understand where you need to go. Okay? So I hope that was very helpful for you. And if you are interested in learning more about some of the work that I do, or more specifically, you're looking for a way to de-stress, you're looking for a way to slow yourself down and to connect with yourself as you're in the process of figuring out where you are on your healing path, I'd love to invite you to click on the link and download the emotional centering meditation. This is a 20-minute visualization exercise / meditation that you can listen to in the morning and at night. I definitely suggest you listen to it at night for sure. That'll help to retrain your system, help your mind to slow yourself down and create more of a the word euphoric experience is coming to mind, but that's not the word. It's more like a peaceful experience, a more centered experience within yourself, right? So feel free to go ahead and click on the link and download that emotional centering meditation. And I will be back again to share this work with you. So good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night wherever you are. I will be on again soon. Take care and be well.